My upgrades are Invincible, Chapter 69b, Fan Fiction, by Azazyel. It didn't matter as it just keeled over and into the welcoming embrace of Kaguya, cutting its head clean off as it fell off its horse. With the rider dead, I quickly threw a literal dozen heavy-weighted nets onto the Kelpie to immobilize it so I could begin taming it later and keep it from moving as much so its injuries wouldn't get worse. "So how do you plan to capture the mermaids?" Kaguya asked conversationally, and I brushed a hand through my hair as the non-dungeon-born monsters looked at us with some wariness, especially the mermaids who were famously cowards or just refused to fight, who wouldn't even harm adventurers unless directly pulled out of the water, and their struggles even then weren't anything to note. I coughed, putting a hand to my chest, and I said weakly, "I will play dead to make them charge me as the wounded. You just try to get the mermen, and I will deal with the mermaids." Kaguya gave me a look of amused exasperation, but I just dramatically keeled over, falling onto a knee as I held onto my head, and I groaned loudly, and I could see through my hand the merman's eyes widen with sadistic glee as he fell for my apparent sign of weakness. The merman obviously attributed to my previous show of myself using the magical effect of the rivers of blood and being exhausted by it. And then it charged towards me from the side with it raising its trident to throw at me. "I got the trident," I said quietly, and Kaguya stilled as she prepared to attack the merman, and then the merman pitched his arm forward, and I thanked all the gods as his trident sped towards me in a blur of speed and slammed into my summoned shield. "Fucking stupidly strong monster." I mentally cursed incredulously as I was slammed backward with my shield and feet, making harsh scratching noises. I was shoved backward a good 5 or 6 meters and only stopping with a jolt of pain running through my feet as I caught myself on one of the folds on the platform. I stood up as Kaguya waited till the Kelpie reached the platform, and then, abruptly, the Kelpie stopped at a squeeze from the merman, and both Kaguya and I both were stunned as the merman flew through the air with its fist drawn back and poised to slam into my head as it flew across the length of the platform. A loud crunching noise rang out as the flying merman abruptly lost all of its momentum, and even the Kelpie and mermaids looked stunned as I summoned the massive sword spear of the Nameless King, and the mermaid just impaled itself and remained stuck on the massive blade. A flick of my arms threw the impaled merman into the ground, and then I waved a hand with my much larger Kelpie being summoned from the tamed space that I quickly leaped onto. And before the other Kelpie could run off, I threw another series of weighted nets onto it that were then caught on the hook surrounding the edge of the ship's platforms as it tried to escape without its rider. After that, I took a deep breath and the Kelpie ran downwards into the water like it was still solid ground, although it was running downhill even. But even as water rushed over my face, I was able to lash out with my hands as the Kelpie sent a mental message, and with both my arms, I managed to catch a mermaid with each arm around their humanoid torsos. Without a single mental order, I felt the Kelpies charge through the water change course, and we quickly broke through the surface of the water with myself taking a deep breath and shook my head to throw off the water covering my face and hair with a hearty laugh escaping me as I held the two weakly struggling mermaids in a tight grip. My Kelpie quickly ran back to the ship, and I saw Tina wave in celebration as she and Lyra were dealing with their monsters and a couple of turtle-like monsters I didn't really know the name of, to be honest. Well, the gallant hero slays the monster. And brings back more monsters instead of a princess. Kaguya said dryly as she eyed the two scared mermaids who had given up resistance towards me after realizing I was a good deal stronger than them. To Kaguya's teasing, I gave a small chuckle, raised an eyebrow, and responded cheerfully. "Would you rather take these monsters' place and ride with me instead?" And surprisingly, Kaguya only raised an eyebrow and, without hesitation, grinned and said, "Yeah, I would like that actually. I always hated walking for a few hours in the dungeon to get past floor 10 and see monsters of any actual challenge. What does a man do when the waifu actually says, 'Fuck yeah, go ahead and carry me away'?" I thought with a wry smile as I put away my Kelpie and then bound up the mermaids in some rope and put them aboard the ship so I could work at taming them later.